Awesome. Thank you so much, Braden. And thank you everybody for being here today. If you could in the chat, just let me know where you are joining me from. You can let me know what state you're from, if you want to be specific and know the city as well. But I just love to see where everybody is joining us from today. We got Colorado. Good to see you, Hannah. Orange County. Thank you so much. Orange County, California. Chicago, Illinois, Louisiana, New Jersey. Great. We got a wide range, East Coast to West Coast. We got Orange County as well. Orange County, California, I'm assuming. There is an Orange County I know in Florida, but we got people from all over the place. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining me today. My name is Preston Trebas. I'm a STEM training and development specialist from Boxlight, and you are joining us today to learn how to meet the social and emotional needs of your students with 3D printing. Our quick agenda for today, this time is going to go by fast. We'll start with what SEL is, looking at some of the frameworks from Castle, looking at how to use 3D prints in your classroom, what you can actually make, and then ending with design challenges where your students can actually design things and then watch them come to life. Our first question I'm going to start on our poll is very simple, looking at what grades and subjects you teach or cover. So I'm going to go ahead and launch that. If you want to take a second to let us know what you teach, what you cover, and then we'll see what range of subject matter we are covering today. I see you 6 through 8, 9 through 12. Oh, we got the whole range here. We got pre-K, we got math, science. Amazing. I'll give you a second to finish that poll. All right, it looks like we actually hit every category. We got some special ed, music, art, and PE, other social studies. All right, give you about 10 more seconds for that first question. Again, thank you so much for that participation. I also have the chat open as well, so I can see the chat with anything that you're putting in there as well. All right, so I'll go ahead and share those results with you so you can see the company that you are with today. We have a wide range of educators, so glad that you could be here and learn how you can help your students from pre-K all the way up through high school. And then we also have a media specialist as well. Awesome. Thank you, Michelle. So I want to start off with just a quick 1-minute activity. I'm going to play some music here, and I want to guide you through just some a guided meditation here. If the music is too loud, let me know in the chat. I can definitely turn that down. But I want you to find a spot to be comfortable. If you're sitting in a chair, you just want to sit, totally fine. If you want to be brave and lay on the floor, totally fine too. But as you find a spot to be comfortable, we're going to do a little mindfulness practice. You might be familiar with these types of meditations. And I want you to close your eyes, and I want you to be present with me right now. And as you close your eyes, I want you to feel that air as it moves in and out through your nose. There's a lot of things that we're probably all thinking about and worrying about, and right now we're going to be present and just focusing on our breathing. And as we breathe in, I want you to do a long, slow breath in through the nose. And as you're breathing out, I want you to imagine like you're blowing through a straw, nice and slow. In through the nose, slowly, out through the mouth. And as you come to this present moment, I want you to find something that you are grateful for right now. In this moment, is there something in your life, in your room, that brings you gratitude, brings you joy? And I want you to allow that energy to fill your body as we breathe in and out and come to this present moment. Take one more deep breath in, exhale, and I want you to notice how you feel. And it says, yeah, we are meeting our own SEL needs first. And you can go ahead and open your eyes and join me again. And I wanted to start with that, to become present in the moment, because that's really a core piece of SEL and really just moving through life is being present. And I want to start with what SEL is. And I know that if I were to ask all of you what it means to you, we would get a ton of different answers that would all be amazing. But I want to point us to what is called the Castle SEL framework. And if you're unfamiliar with CASTLE, the C in CASTLE stands for collaboration, and it is the collaborative for social and emotional learning. And in the chat, I'm going to put in the chat for you all a link where you can find more information on these fundamentals. These fundamentals and framework really provide structure to something that seems a little abstract when we start to conceptualize what it looks like in the classroom. If you go to that website, you can see a greater detail of framework. And when we look at SEL, I want to look at these 5 competencies, looking at self-awareness, self-management, and relationship skills. And to further prove this point with CASTLE, they have also shown 4 huge benefits according to their best practices playbook. They've talked about 4 benefits that I think we could all agree are things that we would all want for our students: better academic performance, improved attitudes and behaviors, less negative behaviors, and reduced emotional stress. As teachers, when we focus on SEL at the core of everything that we do and we embed it in our everyday practices, we can see the benefits of these things at the end of each day, at the end of each week, at the end of the entire school year. As somebody who embedded SEL in his own classroom, I can promise you that these benefits were definitely seen within my own classroom as my students develop those core competencies as outlined by CASTLE. Another question, though, I want to hear from all of you is, we all have our own strategies that we use to meet the needs of our students, but what have you used with your students in the past? So thinking about, let me get to my poll question here. So when you think about if you have used strategies in the past, what might have those looked like? So were they in the form of a class meeting where students were able to have a voice and share their thoughts? Did it come in the form of just feeling charts or feeling discussions? Did you provide team building activities for your students? Did your school use a sort of formal SEL curriculum, or did you use other types of strategies? I'll give you a second to answer that. And I know we don't have all of the strategies included, which is why there's that other. And if you do have another strategy that you want to put in the chat, I would love to see that as well, where you can be more specific. I see that about 40% of you, our second most popular answer has been other strategies. So if you want to put that in. So Andrew is saying attitude of gratitude journaling, a great form of self-expression, absolutely. All right, looking like our most popular answer being class meetings. Anna saying a fellow teacher doing a similar breathing exercise, but having a student in charge and using those squishy balls. Love it, love it. All right, so I'll share those results with you. You can see what everybody else has shared with. And like I mentioned, with these 5 competencies, the ones that I want to focus on today are going to be self-awareness, self-management, and relationship skills. So starting with self-awareness, there are a ton of different activities and ideas, but I wanted to highlight a few that have to do with 3D modeling and 3D printing. Self-awareness, being aware of who we are and how we move through the world and our identity, is extremely important for all students K through 12. And one of the activities you can see on the left is an activity I call What Makes Me Me, where students are using a website known as Tinkercad, which is a free-to-use website if you've never used before. I'll put the link in chat for you all. Tinkercad is a website where students can do 3D designs and models. And this is actually an image of my own daughter where she came home and was feeling a little frustrated, and she created, with a little assistance, she made this character, and you can see the expression of this character. It looks a little angry. She was feeling a little frustrated. And I asked her, what do you think you would need to move through these feelings? And she said ice cream. So we added this ice cream. Whether or not that might be the best practice, I don't know. But again, it was her helping herself process that self-awareness of who she is and how she moves through the world. The image on the right is a snapshot of a design challenge where students are creating a name tag using Tinkercad, and you could also have students add to their name tag things that represent who they are, favorite hobbies, parts of the world that are important to them. And again, really understanding who they are and having that self-awareness. The next part of the core competencies outlined by Castle is self-management. And I love this visual because I want you all to imagine a jar of glitter floating in water. And the glitter represents the many stressors and challenges. It could be health issues, it could be family problems, it could be conflict at work. And when those things get shaken up, we lose clarity and it's hard to see through. But when we take time to manage those feelings and to process and feel, the glitter settles to the bottom, but they don't go away. And then once it settles to the bottom, we have clarity to see through and to see the things that are really going on in our lives. So I really like this visual for self-management because it gives us an understanding of how we manage the stressors in our own lives. So our next question that I want you to think of is, in your own life, when you are feeling stressed, when you are feeling overwhelmed, what are some strategies that you lean on to help yourself, settle that glitter down to the bottom? It doesn't make them all go away, but to give us that perspective and that presence state of mind. Could it be watching your favorite TV show, talking with a friend, some form of artistic expression, playing video games, exercise, or other? And again, if you put other, please let me know in the chat. Or if you want to put your favorite TV show in the chat, go for it. I can't count the number of times I've watched the TV show The Office. I feel like I have every episode memorized, and it is a very calming thing to go back to my favorite show, even though I know what's going to happen. It just makes me feel at ease and like I can just tackle anything going on in my life. All right, I'm going to go ahead and end that poll. But again, if you want to put in the chat some of the things that you do, would love to see that as well. Here are some of the results. Here are the results. Mark says food and taking a walk. Wish it wasn't food as in rough months. That's a lot of, yeah, that's true. Read a book that doesn't require my, isn't that interesting how some of the things that we engage with, it could be the same type of media, but sometimes we want stuff that doesn't really make us think. Give me a lighthearted book. Give me my favorite TV show. Don't make me think too much. Michael says a walk or a hike. Love it. Now, for our students, this could really come in the form of things that you can 3D print for your classroom. I want to highlight 4 that I will put a link to in the chat, and the link will bring you to a website known as Thingiverse, where you could print any of these models that your students could use to help them gain that presence of mind. But I want to make something very clear. Giving your student a fidget toy isn't going to solve all of the problems. You need to give them some structure and framework for that. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen to show you a few of my favorites that I've used in my class. The first one being an infinity fidget cube. And this is something you could easily print that students could fidget with or play with. This is another one where you could print cubes for a puzzle that students could put together. But my favorite that I want to highlight is this labyrinth puzzle cylinder, but I've used a plastic that is a color-changing plastic based off of heat. So something that I've done in the past with my students is I've set up a section in my classroom known as a calm corner. And when I noticed a student was having a hard time, they were feeling really stressed, I sent them to this calm corner and I said, I want you to play with this toy until the purple on the entire toy changes to pink. And what I would find is it would take a few minutes and the student would be really focused on the activity at hand. And I want you to think back to what you had done earlier with our time together. We took time to breathe, we took time to focus on the present, and we took time to really process what we were feeling. If you've ever been really stressed out, one of the worst things that somebody could say to you is calm down. Calming down does not calm ourselves down. It brings attention to the fact that we are not calm. One of the best antidotes for stress is to pause and to be present and to take in the world around us. Self-management. Again, I will put a link to all of these in the chat for you. So if you wanted to print an infinity cube, a labyrinth puzzle, Hannah put in the chat, let's see, what did you put in here, Hannah? Let me pull that up. a link to a articulated model. Oh yeah, the articulated models are a great thing to 3D print as well. And then the final thing that we will cover in our last few minutes is relationship skills. One of the best ways to improve the relationship skills between your students is by introducing design challenges. Design challenges are any sort of open-ended problem or challenge where your students are using Tinkercad 3D modeling software to create a solution to the problem, a solution to the challenge. It could be designing new wheels for a robot. It could be designing their own house. And I like this framework that Castle has provided 3 steps to having a successful design challenge. The first is having some sort of welcoming ritual or routine where students feel included, they feel a sense of belonging and connection, where when they see the design challenge, they feel like they got this, they can totally tackle this. The second thing is once you start a design challenge, it really hinges on the ability for students to build those relationships to one another as well as the content. So my suggestion is if you introduce design challenges to your students is to start with group design challenges where they may be huddled 3 students around one computer where they're taking turns providing feedback and ideas about the design. And then finally, once students have designed something, the exciting part is watching it come to life. So after you've 3D printed something, you have a very optimistic close where students are feeling connected, productive, and inclined to return to your next design challenge. Now, if you are looking for ideas for design challenges, one of the ways that you can find a design challenge is MimioSTEM puts out design challenges on My STEM Kits. So if you have access to My STEM Kits, or if you would like to go to My STEM Kits, Hannah, if you wouldn't mind, could you put a link where people could go to My STEM Kits in order to do a free trial and they could explore some of the design challenges? Or some of the most powerful design challenges I've seen are ones that have been generated by teachers themselves, or you ask your students for ideas. If you go to My STEM Kits, some of the design challenges would look like this: creating a catapult basket, designing their own house, building a ship, creating a car that can be raced in a 3D derby. These are a few examples. And if you do your own design challenge, it might look like this. So this is a video from a few years back where I had a little less hair. And the design challenge was my students had to get into groups and create something that would hold my weight. I gave them a few parameters. It couldn't just be a solid cube. And what they had to do was each group would then present their design to the class. And the class then had to vote on which design they felt would be most successful. And it was pretty amazing to see how often students weren't picking their design because they felt that others were better. So again, think about those social and emotional skills that are at play here. And this is a video I will play for you in just a second where they voted on the design. We 3D printed the design. It was the moment of truth. And I want you to pay attention to the enthusiasm and the sense of community you will hear in this video.
And that means that her design was successful. Wait, hold on, and...
So it cuts off right there, but if you heard that part at the end, shouting, cheering, screaming, and enthusiasm, there was no thought, well, my design didn't work, it wasn't mine. It was a group effort. So you can start today. As you look at these 3 areas for social emotional learning, we have self-awareness of students understanding who they are and how they move through the world, how they can manage their feelings and emotions by not making them go away, but by learning how to process and work through them, and how your students can work together with their classmates to build their relationship skills. That wraps up our STEM Wednesday very quick. If you want to join us next week, we will have Evan that will be leading a 20-minute learning lab to show you how to effectively use the lab disc in an all-in-one science lab with young students. But before you leave, I would love to hear your thoughts in the chat before we break. And when you leave, there will be one final question as you close the Zoom meeting today. But I would love to hear from you all. One thing that was a big takeaway or one thing that you would like to try with your students today. I'm going to go ahead and put on that nice calm music again. But thank you, everybody, for joining us on our STEM Wednesday. And I hope you feel a little more calm, a little more present with some ideas of what you can start using right away with your students and your school.
Everyone, I am also going to put a link into our for future STEM Wednesdays. So if you want to sign up for any of the upcoming ones, click into that link, check them out. Thanks, Preston.
Thanks, everybody. I'll leave this open for about 1 more minute, but if you are done, you are welcome to leave our STEM Wednesday Zoom. And thanks, everybody, again for joining us today.